Alright, I haven't done one of these for a while. I've been slacking, so I thought to do another Revved Up Reflection for Sunday night here. I've been looking at these show bike things, and you see some crazy stuff on show bikes. And this ain't no show bike. This is just a damn beater bike. But I guess it's art really. Some of it, because some of that stuff don't ever get ridden. If it does, it's ridden a quarter mile, ridden a mile, if that. Seen a lot of guys that have show bikes that just aren't ever ridden. You can look at the speedo and it says, less than a mile on it, or 5 miles. Thing ain't never been ridden. Some of them don't even have guts in the engine there. I had a guy bring a shovel head engine to me, probably early 90s. Needed rebuilt. He wanted me to take the rocker boxes off, and they were the plain non-chrome rocker boxes, and give him the rocker boxes, and gave him the engine cases and cylinder heads, all that stuff. And he had the cases polished and the cylinder heads polished, and the rocker boxes, they did this, polished them, and then they did this scroll work on it, which used to be really popular. I don't even know what you call it. I just call it scroll work, where they engraved the rocker boxes, all different kinds of shapes in them. And they look good. So did that and sent off took the transmission apart, and he had the transmission case polished, 4-speed case. Ended up rebuilding the flywheels, balanced the flywheels, put a new set of rods in it, bored and honed the cylinders, new valves and guides and heads, and put seats in it for no lead conversion. Just all milled the heads, so everything's perfect. And change the cam in it to go with the pistons. And everything had the bike ready to go on the stand. Put everything together. Good, really good looking thing. Nice polished stainless hardware everywhere. Did all the conversions for the oil pump and the top, restrict the top end oil feed. Restrictors in the crank there to restrict the oil flow to the crank. Good looking bike. Turned out really nice. As far as all I did was the engine and the transmission. Gave everything back to the guy, and when I put the cases back together, I got the engine all bolted together. Get down to put the crank seal in there, and when he brought it in, it didn't have the sprocket shaft spacer in there. So I called the guy up, and I'm like, man, I'm not going to put the sprocket shaft seal in there because I don't have the spacer for it. He's like, I got the spacer at home. Okay, cool. You know how to put it in? Yeah, I got it. So, prime the engine. Everything's ready to go. Prime the oil pump. Turning the engine over so I got oil everywhere. And bag it up so it's ready to go. And I guess he puts it back together because I never actually saw the bike together. He'd come in with like a photo album, and pictures of trophies were in one of these trophies at whatever bike show he went to. And it was, I want to say it was like a 76, 77 shovel and a Paco frame with a Springer front end on it. It's a good looking bike, but never actually heard the bike run. All I seen was pictures of it, and like pictures of trophies and crap like that. And it was like had on the tank, it was like he put gold leaf in the tank. I mean, like actual gold leaf in the tank, and whatever designs he had on there. It was sharp bike. But then didn't hear from him. Didn't see him. Didn't come in for years. I mean, like 5, 6, 7 years. Didn't see him. And some guy comes walking in the service department there, and he's like, man, I just bought this shovel head off a guy, a show bike. And When I started open running, it's making this horrible noise and it's shooting oil at the left side of the engine there. Okay. I go outside and look at it, and I'm like, damn, that bike looks familiar. It's the bike that it's the bike I did the engine on years before. So it's got like a 3-inch belt drive on it. And guy wants to start it up so I can hear it. So it's on the trailer, he starts it up, and I'm standing on the left side there looking. And as soon as he starts it up, it fires up, and damn belt is doing this in and out, like the whole pulley's moving in and out. Not just the belt, the pulley too is moving in and out. And it's definitely blowing oil out. Left side of the case over there, right behind the alternator rotor. So shut it off, man. He shuts it off, and he's got these covers over the front sprocket, the front pulley, front motor pulley. Like a nice domed aluminum polish with a little engraving on it, whatever it was. And I can't see how to get it off of there. You know, I grab hold of it, and you can move the whole thing in and out. Anyway, what the guy had done, I guess the guy that put the bike together originally, he had glued that cover on with silicone, like black silicone. Glued it to the pulley cover, like it's never going to come off there, right? With silicone. Big round thing that weighs a lot, spinning around, like it'd never come off. Well, it wouldn't have come off because I had to use a damn chisel to get it off there with. That destroyed it getting it off. So, guy left the bike. I got the cover off. Went and grabbed the socket to fit on the pulley, just stuck it on the nut, and it just turned by hand. So the nut wasn't even tight on the front pulley. So pull that nut off, and it's just finger tight. Pull it off there, and take the pulley off, pull the rotor off, and what was making the noise is the rotor, not just the pulley, but the rotor itself had nothing to hold off. So it cut a groove in the left side of the case there. Not much, because I guess it never ran for very long, but it was enough to tell that it had been hitting that and made some contact with it. So pull it off there, and what do you know? No sprocket shaft spacer, no seal. So the guy either forgot to put it in there, or who knows what he was thinking, but it was gone. So luckily, it didn't run long enough to actually cut a groove through the cases on the left side. It did mess up the rotor, but or messed up the stator. So I ended up putting the stator in it and a sprocket shaft seal and the spacer, and put it back together, and everything was good to go. But that's one of them show bike things, I guess, because I've seen other ones that are like that. You know, you look close at them, and you see, well, this bike has no ignition system because there's nothing coming out of the cam cover, no wiring coming out of the cam cover going anywhere. So it doesn't even have an ignition system in it, or no oil. Seen them like that before, where guys not looking, and you go over and pull the dipstick out, and there's absolutely no oil anywhere in the bike. So people started doing these ride-in bike shows, which is cool. That's more realistic. I'd rather see a ride-in bike show than just a bike show to go to a bike show. People were taking advantage of them ride-in bike shows too, because they'd pop a trailer down the 2 blocks away, fire the bike, and ride it into the ride-in bike show. So it's not really a ride-in bike show. And I see now where they have some that it's a ride-in bike show, but they actually have to go in a group ride, like 20 miles or 25 miles or whatever it is. Seen one that you had to go 20 miles, and then you could go to the bike show. That's more realistic to me. But it is neat going to a bike show and seeing all different kinds of crazy contraptions that people come up with just to be inventive. I did see one fairly recently. This was online, not in person, where these guys had made they were proud of it, but they had made I'd be proud of it too because it was very pretty, almost 1920s looking steampunk kind of thing. What they had done is on the throttle they had made a gear with very nice looking machine work. They made a gear with a gear on the throttle here, so when you turn the throttle, the gear up here would move the throttle, and the throttle cables were internal somehow. And levers, instead of levers facing this way, the levers were mounted on the end of the bars like that. And I guess the cable ran down the bars, and they had it hooked up somehow where the master cylinder for the front brakes was somewhere down under the triple tree or something. So it was like a cable operated hydraulic system. What you did is when you pulled the brake lever in, which just seems totally opposite of what it should be. If the brake lever's facing this way, it doesn't seem like you'd have much grip on it. But it looked like it had a cable going down to a lever, which then pulled the lever to hit the master cylinder, which was mounted down here somewhere. So strange to me anywhere. I mean, it looked neat, and if you didn't look practical, I'm looking at this big gear sitting up here, and all I'm thinking about is somehow in your hand going in that thing. Somehow it just looked painful. Looked like it'd be painful. Looked dangerous, but it was neat looking, just not practical. I've seen some neat stuff though. I think one of the coolest things I've seen, which wasn't a running bike. I mean, it was actually a running bike because I'd seen it race at the racetrack before in vintage. But a guy had a Vincent engine and like a Norton featherbed frame. I forget what they called it, but it's a neat bike, like a big Norton Manx tank on it with Vincent Black Shadow engine, I think, or something like that. That's just neat to me. Of course, I'm into that vintage racing kind of thing and racing in general. But it was neat. You go to a bike show and you see, some of them you see, especially if it's Harley stuff. Unless it's a bigger show. If you go to some local show that's like at a dealership, guys have, I've actually seen them where I've got chrome switch housings. I've got chrome masters, just out there bragging about stuff on their bike, and it's like, yeah, that's cool. But you know what? There's 50 other bikes out here that all have the same shit on them. I like a good paint job, something different. I mean, black is black. Black is classic. It is classic. I like black and gold, especially together, go well for me anyway. Looks good. Little things. I was putting these bars on here yesterday, and I'm looking at some of the stuff, and I'm like, well, damn, this clamp for the clutch side was all mangled up. Not mangled, somebody had painted it. The previous owner had painted it, and all the paint was peeling off of it. So I had one laying around here I slapped on there. Little things like stainless hardware. I'm a big fan of stainless on just about everything. Polished stainless, just because it looks good instead of chrome. I'm not into polishing really, so to an extent, to make it at least presentable. I'm not going to spend an entire day out polishing so I can ride for an hour. because I know guys that do that. That's their routine. They go out Saturday morning, they work all week, whatever. They go out Saturday morning, turn the radio up, sit in their garage with a little roll around stool, polishing everything. Be out there for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, polishing and listening to the radio, doing whatever. And then they'll go out Saturday night, ride 20 minutes down the road, go get dinner or whatever with their wife, spouse, whatever, partner, I guess is what they call them now. Partner. Going out with a partner. But I guess that there's nothing wrong with that. That's the routine. At least they have a bike. And if they don't ride it, those are those guys that put about, typically they'll do, first year having a bike, they might do 5,000 miles, if that. And then the next year they might do 2,000. By 3 or 3, they're less than 1,000 miles a year. But, that's their prerogative. It's not like these things are really practical for much. I shouldn't say that. Some people do ride the hell out of them. Some of them not so much. It's a funny story. Where I lived before, guys would live up 2 or 3 counties away, 2 counties away from where they worked at. And it was popular for them guys to go buy 883s and drive them back and forth to work. They claimed they were good commuter bikes, and I guess they were good because they did get almost 60 miles to the gallon, 55 miles to the gallon, really. And the insurance is cheaper on an 883 than it is a 1200. That's really neither here nor there. That's kind of off the topic of show bikes here. And like I said, this ain't no show bike. This is just a beater I got for my son, who I think he's ridden it once in the past year. And that was just up and down the road, like not even a mile. So there is that. When he first got it, he rode the hell out of it. But, got busy with work and college and bands and whatever else. So anyway, I just thought I'd bring that stuff up. And, like I said, I do like a bike show. It's nice to go and see what's out there and what people are doing, their interpretation of what art is. I did have a customer years ago, probably 10 years ago. This lady, she had a little, one of them little Suzuki TU 250s. I guess she was new to it, and she rode it everywhere. Had a lot of miles on that little bike, city bike, really. I guess they lived in Raleigh, but she had it. Somebody had converted it over to she was proud of it. Somebody had done the work to it. When I say work, she had it converted over to an almost sort of cafe racer looking little TU 250, but it was made to look like a beater bike. Because I was asking her about it, and she's like, because it had a big dent on the gas tank here, and the gas tank was just bare metal, looked like bare metal. And she's like, oh yeah, I had them do that at the shop there. So what they had done, they had dented the tank, stripped all the paint off of it, and just clear coated over top of it with a little bit of rust on the tank. They just clear coated over the rust. And I guess that's the look she was going for. So it was made to look like it was a lowbrow kind of tough, rough, brat, whatever bike. I don't know what they'd call them. But she liked it, and she ended up going and buying I want to say she got a Triumph Bonneville or Broxton or something like that, something along those lines. And I remember talking to her. I'm like, she's like, yeah, they charged me. They charged to convert her little TU 250 into whatever she had done to it. She's like, yeah, they charged me almost $4,000 for that. Really? It beat a couple of dents in the gas tank and shots clear on it for $4 grand. Yeah, you don't say that to somebody just spent that kind of money on it. I've had other ones where a lady, when I first moved here, there was some big painter that everybody used down here that was supposed to be really good. And she brought this paint set in, and I mean, it was a good looking paint set. I want to say it was on a Road King. She was putting it on a Road King, and it was pretty. It's like red, white, and blue paint. So put the rear fender on, put the tank on. I'm going to put the front fender on. I didn't notice it until I actually got it. Mounted. It's up on the front of the fender. At the very front of the fender, on the tip, you could see a thumbprint in the paint. And the thumbprint had been clear coated over. And it was prominent, you could see it. I didn't point it out to her. I figured she would have seen it. And it had now I don't know if the painter did it on purpose or not, because it had the painter's signature right under the thumbprint. So maybe that was her trademark or something. It was a woman painter. I can't remember the name of the company. The woman that did it, but I just thought it was strange to have a big thumbprint in the paint. Like it was almost like you were doing fingerprints at the police station. I mean, it was perfect. Like they grabbed hold of it when the paint was wet and just held the thumb there, and then clear coated. Didn't sand it, nothing. Just clear coated over the thumbprint. And it was a good looking paint job, but it wasn't that great. Wasn't no $8,000 worth of paint, to me at least. I wouldn't pay that for it. And have thumbprints on it and all their little defects. Better be. I'm spending that kind of money for a paint job. It better install itself. Anyway, that's all I got. I'm just rambling now. You guys take care. Cold out here. Guys, take care. Have a great week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing and all that. Take care. See you soon.